Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm David.
And this is the Practical Guitarist Podcast.
The podcast for people who eat, sleep, and breathe guitar.
There you go. Good evening, David. And thanks for that.
We started it off on the right note tonight. I think things are
exactly.
going to go much better than the previous one. Again, we have had an episode, a lost episode, because we recorded one and it went into the annals of the internet and did not actually record it all, and it was just a whole thing. Well, it recorded, but we got the echoes of everybody's voice after about 3 seconds after they said something, which made it really confusing when I reviewed the tracks right away, and then I went back and reviewed them again, and I went, uh-oh. I have found the issue. I think I actually found the issue while we were doing it. And so now here we are. So if you didn't know, we are now live streaming and recording video for the podcast. It is available if you're a Patreon subscriber. You can watch the live stream as we're doing it. And tonight will be the first night we're doing that. It's in the PGP. It's in the Practical Guitarist Podcast Patreon special group for benefits. Which is basically just a place for us to put live streams.
For those who give us all of like 50 cents.
We don't require much
I think the minimum
for an
is
investment.
$1, right? Yeah.
We don't require much for an investment, and we take all comers. So even if you want to give us money just so we don't suck, send us a thing that says "don't suck less." We'll be thrilled.
Exactly.
That's constructive criticism, right?
I'm working on camera positioning, folks. Well, everybody, I know everybody understands that the whole thing that's going on. The fact that I even own a webcam, I actually have two of these same ones, is a blessing. So right now, this camera, which normally you could get for $60, $70 online, $80 I think at the top, is now selling for over $200 online. I should sell mine now and then go cameraless again. I could Skype with because I could always record this side of things with my no, because we can't do it live. But anyway, if I could use my phone and then sell this thing for $200, so I can still get $200 out of it.
Well, you can. So we there are ways for us to do that, but that would be a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
And I think right now we're doing it the best way we can.
Yes, we are.
So we've had a lot of stuff going on. I ordered a King of Tone. You received a pedal that I used to own.
I did. It's on the board. It's going to be heard tonight.
You spent like 11 seconds playing with it a few minutes ago, and
11 great seconds. It's really
good, but
I took Sam's input, and Sam Samuelson. No, Sam Samuelson.
You should have asked
everybody
Ryan
knows
Burke.
Sam in the group. Sam Steven. He's right. He's going by Sam Steven now.
Yeah, you should have asked Ryan. He liked on your post. Maybe you feel like a tool for selling it.
I know. Did he really?
Yeah.
Tell him you kept the stickers.
Right? Hey, I heard a guest that's been on our show might be on his show soon.
Oh,
I can't say who, but it'll be a treat. I'm actually looking forward to it to see how they handle it as opposed to how we handled it. And just see how that, because I'm representing. I got my 60 cycle hum shirt on tonight, and I think I
have a plain old Walmart shirt.
I think they'll have a more interesting time with this guest if they have them. So, we'll have to wait and see if it actually pans out, and it probably will. Little birdie in the ethos says it probably will, and that's not a birdie inside my pedal either.
Well, it's nice because they're in an area where they can do that. We aren't even in the same area.
Apparently, I'm taping before a live studio audience this evening. I can hear my wife laughing in the background at my dumb jokes.
Yeah. So. Well, okay. So hopefully, when this is all over, you'll get to fly out here.
Yeah. I'd like to. I'd really like to.
Yeah.
And when this is all over, could be any stretch of time. If anybody's,
we're opening our beaches Friday.
It's funny when you look at the phrases that are like taboo in this whole situation, like when this is all over, and the things that are like happen, those phrases are now getting used completely like all the time to refer to COVID as like this random thing out there in the ethos.
Again, I think it's because it's become a trigger word. and I don't really want to be a negative Nancy person.
No,
We've had we've had here's our number of cases new, 3 since things opened up, and that's with now free available testing in every city now in our area. We have availability of testing in all of our cities. So my city has had 3 quote unquote new cases and 0 deaths. And we've had 1 death in over a month. So I don't want to get into the thing on it, but I'm just saying that we're doing all right in this area.
It's good news.
Good. Yeah.
Good news. I'm happy for good news.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear good news. That's why I'm trying to share it.
Well, our outlook is pretty positive here right now too. Well, I guess so. King of Tone, I was talking to one of our show listeners the other day about it, and he kind of pointed out to me. I sent him a picture of my board, my current projected board, and he said, damn, that's a pretty exclusive board you got there. And I was thinking to myself as I'm looking at it, it didn't happen this way on purpose. It wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna buy all the really, really hard to get, very expensive pedals, and put them on my board. It just happened that's the way it worked out. And actually looking at it, I have the Ethos Overdrive. That's like a unobtainium expensive overdrive. I have, I had a 50/50, so that was pretty unobtainium.
Yep.
Especially the black edition.
There's only 3 of them. There's only 3 50/50s for sale on Reverb.
Yeah,
and they're all
not that many
way over what I just paid.
Yeah,
that's why you have first. You have first call.
Yeah, I'm getting the first buyback right. That's right.
That's right.
So 50/50. I've had the Ethos Chorus right, and I've got right now. What's the other exclusive pedal I have? There's something else I have on my board. Oh, the Sunface. Yeah. Those are all pedals that have been waitlisted at some time or another, and now I have the King of Tone coming, and it got me thinking. And I know we talked about this in the B version of this episode, which will never see the light of day thanks to audio issues, audio gremlins. Yep. The B version would be that, exclusivity and pedals and pricing. I think the King of Tone right now, if you're not on the list, get on the list and just buy one, because at the end of the day, I think it's the safest investment in guitar. Look at the Klon. Those things were going for peanuts.
Yeah,
they were like $300, which was outrageous when they were in their heyday, in the mid 90s. Yeah. But now we don't bat an eye at paying $275 for a pedal. No. So $300 for an overdrive that's gonna only increase in value, because the King of Tone's not gonna be around forever. The parts that are in it, I mean, they're only gonna be available to be used. My understanding is that Mike owns a lot of all the stock of that part.
Right.
And that means that when it's done, it's done, and they won't be making any more because he's a stickler about that thing. So I don't know. Get one. Hang on to it. What other pedal do you know that's currently in production that goes for almost double its value used?
Yeah.
I mean, that's unheard of. And you can still get
the 50/50.
Well, debatable. I don't know. I wouldn't even consider that like a production run pedal, but
no, not really.
Because they only get made every once in a while. And they're quite good. If you can get your hands on a 50/50, I think you'll be pleasantly amused. They're a cool pedal. I don't miss mine, but I fear that someday I might, which is why Jim has given me the exclusive rights to buy back that pedal.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I've got my board, I guess, is more exclusive than I had anticipated. I don't know how I feel about that.
So Josh Scott has announced, I just figured while we're talking pedals, Josh Scott announced the Fuzz, what's he calling them? The history of Fuzz. What it is he's doing a line of pedals that go through the history of Fuzz, literally. So he's starting from the beginning, working his way up. starting from the old tone benders and the early fuzz faces, and working his way into now. And
I didn't look at the whole line. I know the one everybody wants is the tone bender.
Yep.
And I kind of turned my nose up at a little bit only because there's a reason that tone bender clones are so damn expensive. And it's because the transistors simply don't exist anymore. They're extremely rare, which is why Analog Man doesn't do tone benders. You can get so every once in a while you can get a sunbender, which is he'll build you one if if he likes you, and they're pretty incredible pedals. I've seen some stuff,
Yep.
and I know obviously like a sun face with tone bender transistors is not the same thing as a true tone bender, but
Right.
It's a cool idea. And
Yeah.
I would love to have a Mark II tone bender.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm not a fuzz fanatic or anything like that. They sounded good.
Good
The
with
demos
humbuckers.
that I've heard, have been really good. Both what's his name, Redshaw and Andy, not Andy Timmons. Who's the one that works for Reverb? Andy from
Andy
Reverb.
from Pro Guitar Shop.
Right, Andy Pro Guitar Shop, who is now
Andy
Reverb.
from Pro Guitar Shop. Yeah, that's
He
like
doesn't
his
have a
middle
last
name is
name.
From.
He doesn't deserve
His middle
one.
name is From, and then Pro Guitar Shop is his last name.
Andy Reverb
It's all
Pro Guitar
hyphenated.
Shop.
Now he's from
Anyway.
Reverb.com, but
Yeah, curly-haired Andy. Anyway,
Should've kept his
Andy's
maiden
got a demo of all four of them up as well. And I'll be honest with you, I liked the sound of all four, but I'll be totally honest with you as well. I've loved the sound other people make with fuzzes, and and
You
it's
still
what
can't.
other people make with fuzzes, and I'll just leave it at that.
I think I'm going to say something that's pretty taboo that people are really going to get pissed at, but I'm going to
Yeah,
say
go
it
for
anyway.
it. Yeah.
I think
don't
people
take it.
that get into fuzz because they're good enough at guitar that they just don't care about anything else anymore. And it's like, how nasty and ugly can I make the guitar sound and do it like consistently? Because it's really easy to like get a fuzz pedal and play open chords and stuff, but I think it's pretty hard to get a fuzz pedal and like make it sing the way that people like Jimi Hendrix and stuff did. Jimmy, like when you listen to him, you don't really feel like the fuzz is like this noisemaker, And I think with a lot of players, when they kick on a fuzz pedal, it sounds like a noisemaker. So it is what it is, right? I mean, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
The Mark II, the whole tone bender thing. What's cool about that though, Jim, is that the tone bender is like a fuzz face that works really well with humbuckers.
Right.
And then not necessarily Mark 1, because the Mark 1 tone bender is basically a fuzz face. But like the Mark II and the 3 are apparently, so I think the 3 is the only one I've had experience with.
Yep.
Sounds like, big roaring raucous ridiculous fuzz with humbuckers.
Right.
And that's rare. Like there aren't a whole lot of pedals that do that.
Right.
A lot of people who play humbuckers use muffs because the muff is like a tighter. It's it's just more palatable to that pickup style. Like it doesn't thrive off the high end. It thrives off the mid range. In fact, one of the coolest sounds I found is running a muff into or a tube screamer into a muff, because it just accentuates the mid range characteristics that drive that fuzz.
Yeah.
And I know that everybody's like, well, the muff is a really scooped fuzz, and yeah, that's absolutely true, but that's scooped coming out the other end. What actually pushes the fuzz harder is the mid-range coming in. So it's weird because most pedals seem to exaggerate off treble. Like they seem to saturate based on the treble frequencies. The muff is a weird one because to me it seems to, like, it really seems to like 2,500 hertz to 1,000 hertz.
Yep.
And then everything else outside of that is icing on the cake, and it does help shape the tone, but it doesn't push it into saturation as much.
Yeah. So the one I liked best that sounded really good with a humbucker was the Bender. And of course the Bender is the one that's just selling like hotcakes. You're already waitlisted on that if you try it now.
Yeah.
And the other one I liked was the Supreme, the 72 Univac Super Fuzz.
I don't know anything about the Bender yet, but I'm
Yep.
gonna guess it's not using the original transistors.
Oh,
I'm
I don't.
guessing it's using either some sort of newfangled version of it, or
Yeah.
they're using an alternative transistor, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, it's Bender-esque, but it's not going to be original tone bender, from Mercari's music kind of deal. Which is why Rhett Scholl just bought one when he was in England,
Yeah, he bought one while he was over there.
and it cost him more than most of our amps probably cost.
Yeah.
So,
And he said that.
mhm.
But he did a shootout with it. And while he admitted it's not exact, um, you know,
Does he prefer the JHS?
no, he does not prefer the JHS.
All right, good, because his credibility's been like waning lately. He's done some things lately that I'm like, for real, dude. We didn't talk about this, but we need to. Since we're talking about pedals, let's spend a few minutes. Again, we're trying to keep these episodes under an hour, so we're going to try to fly from topic to topic. But did you know that Strymon released a new pedal?
No.
Yeah, they released a boost compressor.
Yep.
Remember how much that was?
No. How much is it?
It's $300.
Oh, God. I saw it on a website because one of my friends was talking about they were reopening one of the mom and pops that I really liked in upstate New York that I used to go to, called Parkway Music in Clifton Park, and really love those guys. Anyway, they had a excellent selection of stuff, which has dwindled obviously over this time of not being able to get a lot of new stock. And so, long story short, that was the first thing that I saw on their page. I was like, oh, come on, really? But
yeah. So the pedal we're talking about is a Strymon Compadre.
yep.
It is labeled as the dual voice compressor and boost.
Yep.
And on my secondary screen here, I'm showing the Compadre site over on Sweetwater. And here's why, this is just absolutely nuts to me. We have a $300 boost compressor. Now, $300 compressor, I mean, in the analog domain, that's not unheard of. Which
Right.
the Origin Effects makes the Cali 76, I think. That's a compressor that I would spend $300 on. Now, that's a compressor for people who use compression all night long. And that is their primary thing, is like compression. If you're a country guy, you might buy one of those.
Right.
Might, because I know a lot of country players actually don't use compression. It's a whole
Yep.
other thing. But I just look at this and I'm like, these are the two things that are on my board that I could put on my board that I would not want in a digital pedal at all.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense to me. You got a boost EQ. So the boost has an EQ, like an EQ accentuation feature where you can boost it flat, mids, or treble.
Yep.
And it just seems crazy to me. Like, okay, fine. You can do that in a real boost. Why don't I buy a TC Electronics Spark? What's that, like $70? $60?
Yep.
And on the inside, it's a finger-sized enclosure, first off. It doesn't require crazy power. You open it up. There's switches inside to do the boost EQ thing. And you can get a really nice compressor.
Yeah.
And have both discreetly different on board. Different foot switches. Put them in different places.
Yep.
For half this. I mean, this is really a product for people who are in love with Strymon.
Yeah, what is the Keeley? Like 100 and change?
Yeah,
and
you got that, don't you?
Yeah, I have that on my board.
It's a great pedal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great pedal. And then, of course, and you can use it as a boost or you can use a compressor.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, you can buy, what is it, a Wampler Fote Becca? Or not Fote, what am I thinking? The Wampler, was it Squeezy Fuzz or whatever?
Yeah.
Their compressor.
There's a bunch of different compressors you can get that
in the
are really,
$100
really good
range.
for like the $100 to $150.
Yeah. And why make it so they always have to be next to each other? I'm not. Look, I don't want people to think I'm downing the guys at Strymon. They do a lot of really good stuff. I'm just saying that I don't. Now, maybe does it have two outputs? Like you can use it as two pedals, and you can
in-out volume and favorite / MIDI.
Okay, so no, it doesn't. So you cannot use this. You can use it as two pedals, but two pedals that are right there next.
They're sandwiched together, so you got to choose.
So you never have the ability to like put the compressor in the beginning of your chain because that's how you want to run it, or wherever in your chain, and then that boost at the end or somewhere in the effects loop. You can't do that.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo it and say like it's going to sound
No,
awful or anything. Obviously, I use
I'm
digital
sure it's going to
gear.
sound awesome.
I use digital gear, but it just seems like you lose a lot of flexibility by doing this. And I feel like there's really, really good options that are equivalent to this in price in the analog domain, which this is the reason why the analog domain sells to me, even right now. It's because I don't have to worry about the price of an analog pedal dropping. It's not going to happen. Even when V2 comes out, you take a $5 hit. Right. It's not like when, the next pod comes out and yours is basically worth nothing.
Right, right. The HD 500Xs will be worth $200 tomorrow.
I've sold digital gear of a previous generation and lost my shirt on it. Like, that's why I won't do it anymore. I have to be really careful about what I buy. I bought the Kemper, and the whole time I've owned it, I've kind of sat there and gone, was it worth it? Am I going to lose my shirt when I sell it? Because it was a lot of money to put out. Granted, I don't think I will, but it's still like lingering in the back of my mind. Am I going to lose money on my Kemper when I sell it? Because at some point I will sell it. It's going to happen. Right. That's inevitable. The things that have stuck around in my life have like some sort of emotional significance. The Mesa Boogie Mark V, like I got that when I bought my first place. It's like just various reasons, but also because I like the gear too. I mean, my S500, I've had that guitar like 5-6 years, basically as long as I've been employed at the place I'm at right now, and I mean I've never fallen out of love with it. Like I still play it almost every day. Yeah. Other stuff, it just goes by the wayside. And this digital stuff, like I've never felt a kinship with this stuff. It's not like I had a Helix and I went, ooh, I'm never gonna sell my Helix. I was always thinking like when Helix 2 comes out, like it's just digital equipment. It's always going to be better. The next version is going to be better.
I've heard on the Helix 2 page that it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, the Helix Squared is coming, man.
Yep, Helix Squared.
Helix Squared. It's Kemper green. It's Kemper green, and a touchscreen, and it supports up to 32 blocks per signal chain, and it now has 8 signal chains.
And it folds up into the back of your pocket.
Well, 4 signal chains, but they can be doubled, so it's 8. Yeah. It doesn't fold up in your pocket. And I've heard there's going to be a Helix Squared Plus that has 2 controllers on it. Yep. And it'll come with its own roadie because you'll need one to carry it. Yeah. And of course the what's the small the Stomp? The Stomp 2 is going to be Stomp Squared.
Stomp Squared is going to be small enough that you can fit in your pocket. It's going to be like this big. That's the size of it, from my understanding.
Yeah, but it's going to have 8 buttons on it.
Yeah, 8 buttons. 8 buttons.
Because the whole thing is like everything's going to be doubled.
Yep, like this big. Yep. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to figure out how to put your toes on those 8 buttons.
No, you're just going to put it on a stand and press it with your fingers while you're playing.
Yes.
You didn't hear, Jim? That was the whole goal.
Did you ever see this? I've never tried one, and I don't know if anybody's ever tried one. I'd be interested to hear what it sounded like. They had a pedal controller you wore like a ring. So when you played, it would
the MIDI controller.
Yeah.
The guy from Dragon Force uses it, Herman Lee.
Does he?
Yeah, he still uses it.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
Because he does some crazy wah-wah stuff, and like I've seen this thing where he does this and like flutters a wah pedal, and it's just hilarious.
It's all for show. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Well, he's a crazy guy gear-wise too, because he was using like Rocktron Chameleon or something when the Axe Effects was all the craze, and he was using a Rocktron Chameleon. Yep. Both him and the other guitar player in that band, Dragon Force. Yeah. Were using like these older, what I would consider to be out of date processors at one point. Yep. But hey, I heard one of our forum listeners is our group listeners is getting an FM3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's coming. I'm gonna get to play with one
with the headphone jack.
Yeah, he ordered the one with headphone jack too. Yep. So we did the math actually on his request, because this is Jeff. We did the math on his request. when he got the one with no headphone jack, and that was 2 months prior to, like 2 weeks ago. And then he just got his, hey, we've got corrected ones available.
Oh, so he can return it.
No, he didn't get one of those.
Oh,
they were offering to sell those because they couldn't ship them back or whatever,
gotcha.
And then they were going to get new ones.
Yep.
But they didn't have a timeline on that, and they weren't guaranteeing anybody was going to get one.
Oh.
So it just ended up being a thing, and it sure sounds to me like they soiled a lot of people's opinions because they burned through that second run real quick to get to like his part of the list, which he's not on the first tier or anything.
Right.
So it sure sounds like they screwed up, and like now they're trying to make good on it because they lost sales. I don't know. It's weird. I'm just tired of companies thinking that we get to finance their product like the Spark.
Yeah,
we talked about that on the B episode too, but
yeah, I keep forgetting that people weren't able to hear about that. But yeah, I know we're on two sides of the track on that one. I'm all right with the Spark being crowdfunded. I think that keeps the pricing down. I think that when you look at the fact that you can get the Spark, if you don't care about the bag, which honestly some people won't care about. I want it with the bag because I'm one of those completionist guys. But if you get it without the bag, it's $220.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money. It's chump change.
It's I spend that when I go to the steakhouse with the kids. So I mean,
I'm not looking forward to that time in my children's life.
Yeah. That's where we went for my birthday on Sunday.
The Spark is fine, and I guess the crowdfunding the way they handled it was different. Although I am a little frustrated with them because they're an established company. It's not like they don't have capital.
Right.
It's not like they can't get investment.
Yeah, but I think
from either a bank or private investment.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you, but they're stepping their toes into. Remember, their what was their last thing the Positive Grid did?
The bias amp.
The bias, right.
That's what I'm saying. They're not stepping their feet into anything. No, they've already done it.
But it didn't really take off. It just kind of.
It didn't take off because it was a terrible value.
There you go. And so now we've got this thing is up against. Let's look at what it's up against. It's up against in the same pricing, actually a little more money. No, that's about the same price. You're in the oh crap, the katanas. Okay, you're up against the Fenders, which are nowhere near as good, right? You're up against the THX. Okay, if you're going to put them side by side feature wise, you're up against the THX. Okay, or the what is the katana?
Yeah, the THR. You mean
the THR? I'm sorry, the THR by Yamaha. So, and you're up against the 30-watt THR, which is $499, right? So, if you look at what you get, and what's the Katana has a version that is up in that price range.
Air, which is overpriced.
It's
a full $150 more than this.
Yeah. And so if you look at that, what they've done is they've said, okay, we're cutting out the middleman and we're only doing them on pre-orders. So once we get enough pre-orders, we make a batch, then we look for another set of pre-orders. So it is made for the blues lawyer, let's face it. It's made for the person that wants to sit it on their desk and want to do it. But that's what the THX is for, except for that guy you were telling me about when we recorded this the first time, who brought one to a gig. I can't believe that. Or THR, yeah. I'm sorry. I keep calling it THX. I don't know why I'm
seen it more than once, actually.
Yeah, or somebody would mic it. Which neither one of them, not the THR nor the Positive Grid, are really made for that kind of thing. It's made for practicing but having a decent sound. That's what it's for.
Well, so to give you a little bit more context, they've made more than just the Spark and the bias head. So They have the bias head.
Yep.
They have the bias rack.
Yeah.
They have a bias head processor, which I don't know what that means. Bias rack processor. They have the bias mini, and they have a guitar and bass version of that. Yeah. So they're not strangers to this anymore.
They're not.
That's why I'm like, this is really peculiar that we're going to enter this THR market, and then we're going to make the consumer pay for the shipping and sourcing of the actual goods instead of us doing it first.
but they're
And I
not
just
really
I
making
think
money.
that supply chain is not, the whole idea of like consumer-based supply chain is a problem.
And
I
yeah, and
just
I don't see it as bad. As long as you get your product in a reasonable amount of time. Now, what's reasonable? That's up to you as the
Yeah,
consumer.
I
And
think they have to be very, very upfront about what the expectation there is in terms of timeliness. And
yep,
we know that they were behind in the beginning.
in the beginning. But they've been caught up and they've made their numbers. And they're on what, the fifth? Did we figure out it was the fifth release of
Yeah, I
these
think
things?
so. They're like the fourth or fifth run,
Yeah. So,
which is fine. I mean, if you want one, go get one. I
yeah, I
like
might get.
this
I'm
is
thinking
not
I'm going to get
something
one.
that this is definitely not something that I think would be worth pulling rank on. But like when you hear about a product like Fractal having the problems they're having getting a product launch, that's absurd.
Yeah.
And there's no characterization in the Fractal side of things that when this is going to be delivered, when you're going to get your pre-order, like how long the list is. They're not even upfront about how many lists there actually are, which there's more than one. I think we established over four of them. Um, and they have some shady stuff going on in their forums too. If you hang out there, which I know some people who do, if you hang out there enough, you'll see some stuff go down that's like, wait a minute, your employee said this, and now you're deleting his post. And
Right.
that's happened as recently as like a couple days ago. So it's really shady. I think the people that tend to buy that product are sort of like okay with it. It's a very sycophantic culture where anything that Cliff does, Cliff is amazing. Cliff being the owner of Fractal, Cliff is amazing, and he can do no wrong. And what's funny is I think he has a lot of cross pollination with Jeff Kiesel.
Oh, really?
Same guys. Yeah,
Really?
Jeff Kiesel's amazing. Anything Jeff does is amazing, and anything that Cliff over at Fractal does is amazing too. Um,
Well, that's amazing.
yeah, does that surprise you though that they would attract the same kinds of people?
Well, let's face it. I don't care what world you live in. There are people who are sycophantic about it. Whether you're talking about cars, look at how many people have Chevys where they have a little Calvin and Hobbes character peeing on a Ford, and then Fords that are peeing on Chevys, and then
Which is
BMWs hate
hilarious to me.
BMW owners who hate Mercedes, Mercedes owners who say
Well, I
BMW
hate
sucks.
Mercedes, but I hate Mercedes not because they're good, because they're great. Like, so they're fun cars. They're very luxurious and they're fast,
Yeah.
but they don't run every time you try to start them.
See, there you go. There's another one.
I know people who've been mechanics for Mercedes.
Yep.
And the joke was that they wouldn't buy one of their own one of like their company's cars, even though they could get them at like 40% off or whatever. They wouldn't buy them because they're
Well, as
junk.
I've said, I've been thinking about getting a Elon Musk, a Tesla.
Tesla.
Yeah. And see, everybody's like, you just want a Tesla because you want to be a sycophant. You want to be. I'm like, no, I'm tired of friggin' oil changes. I'm too friggin' lazy to go get my oil changed. I'm not tired of. I don't care about the other stuff. I'm sick and
Well, I
tired
just
of.
hope you don't have any problems because you will have to wait in line on a Tesla. And I'm not afraid to admit that I would buy a Tesla to support Elon Musk because if you've watched some of the things that Elon has been a part of, and like he's a major humanitarian.
Yeah.
I mean, he may be a jerk, like some people have said he is, but
Yeah.
let's be honest. Given his situation, it's lonely at the top,
Yep.
and I think he really does actually care about doing some things that other people are just kind of like, we can't do this, and we're not as a species able to do these things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and take. I'm going to buy a used one. I couldn't afford a new one, but I live in Virginia where you got to pay personal property tax. I'll be paying for that thing every freaking year. So
For the rest of your life.
the what do people call it? The communist wealth of Virginia. But
Yeah, so everybody has stuff like that. We have we are the People's Republic of Chicago.
yeah,
So
everybody's got something. New York has got stuff like that. I mean, I've lived all over the place. I don't care. I've lived in Southern California. I've lived here. I've lived in Florida, New York. It's just, and I've been all over this planet.
I'll
We've
tell you
still got
this:
it better.
You
Both
live in
places,
Virginia, and
so.
I'm not going to comment on Virginia's politics, but I have a hard time believing that they're as insane as they are here in Chicago, and in
Oh,
the
okay.
Chicagoland and the Illinois State area. I mean, we literally
Okay.
have people saying they're going to defy the governor's executive order just on principle. Like, there's no
Yeah.
real reason for them to do it; they're just going to do
Yeah.
it on principle. So,
Yeah.
this has been
There's
your
all
political minute with the Practical Guitarist podcast, local politics.
local politics. That's right. And now for the news and weather coming up in 5 minutes. Right after this. So guitars. What do you? So anyway, I don't know if how well this will come out on this thing, but I'm going to go ahead and this. I got the 50-50 plugged in. So
Yeah, mess around with it for a minute. Let's see
I
what
hit it.
Jim's going to try a new pedal live on air.
This is the. I'm
What do your
literally.
settings look like? Do you know offhand?
Well, they're in the group. Look at my pictures, and then
Let me see if I can find them real quick.
Sam shared them out. So it's kind of right now. I'm using the left side. So I'm not sure if that's the asymmetric or the symmetrical, but so that's the A side or B side. B side. I like it. We were doing that earlier.
You sound better than I did at it. I cannot play in a chair with arms, man.
It's the braid. That's the playing with the chair. What you don't see, folks, is there's a thing right here in front of me that's knocking my knuckle every time I do everything. I'm gonna have to reset things up. So I'm gonna put the A side on now. Get that switched over.
I see the settings now. All right.
They're going into the clean side of my Marshall here. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit. That's a little bit brighter. It's a little bit better on the neck pickup. That's really crunchy.
So, question: is that the right or the left side that you're running right now?
That's the right side.
Try it with both.
So now I'm going to put both on.
Because I see his settings and I see what he's doing here. I'm hip to his game.
Oh. Never do that to your SG, folks.
No, yeah, don't follow Jim's example. Mine needed severe truss rod adjustments frequently because I did stuff like that all the time.
So on the bridge pickup, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
I'm digging that a lot.
I think I like it better with humbuckers than, and I don't really have any humbucker guitars other than my 7-string right now. So,
and I could clean it up a little bit. And of course, on the neck pickup, clean that right up. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's got a pretty good growl to it. I mean, it's coming over our Facebook or at the YouTube Skype connection. What the hell, man?
I know.
And so I'm not getting like all the treble and stuff, and I'm sure our audience is not going to get that either. But yeah, I can definitely hear the characteristics of it. So what are you running clean right there through your Marshall?
Yep.
Okay.
The Marshall's on the clean channel.
So all your grit's coming out of that.
Yeah. The gain on the Marshall is about 6. And everything except for the bass. I put the bass up high on my Marshall. I just like to get it cranky in the Marshall.
Yeah, it's a pretty bright pedal too, and I think part of it is like I have a severe sensitivity to treble frequencies. Yeah. And so if it doesn't do exactly what I want it to, it usually ends up on the block. I think that's part of the reason why I was like not enamored with it. But I did use it quite a bit. When I first got it, I used it for about a month or two, pretty heavily, and then kind of tapered off. And I think part of that had to do was I got the Kemper right around the time that I got that, so
Oh yeah.
and I wasn't
And
using the board.
you got to think about, yeah, that wouldn't really be something to use together, but more than that, like you said, humbucker sounds really good. Grabbing that S500, man. I love that guitar, by the way. Love that guitar.
Make a deal. No, I'm kidding. The only thing I don't like about it is it has a heel, and I
Yeah.
hate heels. And I'm getting to the point where I'm just like hitting it all the time, and this will become my vintage guitar, and then I'll get the one with no heel, and that'll be my modern guitar.
Yeah.
So, but actually, Jim and I were talking. We want to start incorporating more playing into the show, and this week, actually, the whole genesis of this episode and conversation was really, how do we do that?
Yep.
And I thought the first thing to do is just talk about stuff that we've talked about on the show before. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was double stops, because I don't hear enough of them anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do some double stop demonstrations, some different ideas and motifs that you can think about. And I'll try to play them fast, and I will try to play them slow. Mm-hmm. And I will try to play them slow enough that you can pick them out by ear. And the reason I want you to pick them out by ear rather than by what I'm doing is because everyone needs ear training.
Yeah.
So you can get an idea. I'll tell you where I start. So my pinky is on the 7th fret or the 8th fret, and my index finger is on the 5th fret on the B and G strings, and then you have to figure the rest out. That's a minor second, by the way. And it's a really nasty sound. Like a ring mod, right? All right, so here's a lick, right? And then you can add some vibrato and kind of bend it in tune and do some cool stuff that way too. And I was debating on whether I should learn to play the Batman theme with it, because I think it would be really funny if you harmonize the old 50s Batman music with the minor second. So the cool part about that, we're taking advantage of the fact that the B and the G string have like a funky tuning compared to the rest of the guitar that's tuned in fifths, because you can actually do this a lot more easily on that string, but you can also do it on your E and B string, but you have to move your pinky up 1 fret. So you're doing it, so your pinky's on like the 9th fret, and your index finger would be on the 5th fret, and this would be in the key of A, and it's a minor second.
Yeah.
So, it's
For some
cool
reason I
when you
couldn't think of hear like a Christmas song with that.
So I've used it in songs, like doing things like that picking part, you know. But, my music it can get pretty, like, nasty sounding. And at this point, everybody's probably offended and shut off the podcast because it's such an annoying sound to hear. But it's fun to throw in every once in a while. Everybody, when they hear it the first time, like especially in a live venue, they look at you like you're insane. Like, what is he doing? And then you do it twice, and then they realize that he meant to do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the other thing I like to do is I use a lot of fourths, like fourth harmony. So in this case, we're doing a minor. I guess that's a minor. That's a major third. So we're gonna do a major third, and then lead into a fourth. So, and then we'll start off with all fourths. So it'll be down here. So and you can do power chords and all kinds of stuff to go along with it. But the whole idea is to use these fourths because you're really just playing a bar for everything you do, and you can take your regular single licks and add on a note basically that bars it above. And for most notes, it works out pretty well, and you'll learn really quick which ones to avoid if you use your ears. And it's a good part of ear training to develop this whole idea of using double stops because you can hear when things are out of tune or atonal and avoid them. So
or
the other
use
thing is
them
like
to your advantage.
Yeah, like I do, because that's basically like a big component of my style is being unafraid to venture into enharmonic territory.
Right.
I mean, so I'm trying to think like you can get into doing conventional harmony with them too. I don't have I don't know if I can remember it, so let's try it. So that's using like conventional harmony, like thirds, by both minor and major. But that's part of that's basically the harmony part for the name of the song escapes me right now, and it's so bad because I should know this one. Whipping Post. So yeah. And it's a combination of major thirds, so a major third with a slide, and then a fourth. Actually, that's probably another major third. And then, the ending is, of course, another major third slide. But they use a lot of hexatonic harmony in that band, so it's kind of hard to translate all their harmony over to double stops. It can be done, and that's a cool way to approach it, is to find slower harmonies in music and then to convert them over to a single guitar part. And it takes a lot of work, but if you can do it, it's worth it. It's rewarding because you'll be able to do something a lot of people can't, which is to play the two guitar parts at once. Yeah. So I'm sure you've done some of that, Jim.
You're doing that sixth thing that you were doing the other day.
Oh yeah, the sixth. So learn your sixes, because that's another really, really common double stop that gets used a lot. That sounds really cool if you can do it right, and if you can play around with going between major and minor. So the way that I do my sixes is I know what my scale is, So like, for example, I'm going to play in a minor scale, so I know my next note is going to be that one, and then I know the next note. And there's a lot of other valid notes you can play, because I like to use this color tone when I'm playing in a major or in a minor scale. So most people, that's kind of what your minor scale sounds like. But I use this color tone a lot. This, which doesn't fit. And so what I like to do is I'll, when I'm doing my sixes, or actually we'll do minor again. So it gives me another thing to play off of, and I can alternate between sixes and other intervals too as part of that. So, but sixes are something you like if you're going to play them in a tune. It really helps because you're not used to using the string skip as part of your interval to know exactly what they're going to be when you're playing it. It's not something I use as much improvisationally, although I do. The other component of that is understanding how to play it. So you'll watch this hand, like a lot of times. I'll try to pick higher up so you guys can see it. But like I'll use my this finger to actually pick it. Or I'll mute the string in between. And especially if you want to get it ugly and like make a nasty sound, that's. I want that. that note in the middle, that just kind of sits there and doesn't really do anything. Cool stuff, all of them. Like I want to get into some of the other stuff that we talk about on the show, like some of the other licks and stuff we do. I'm not going to do them right now. We did it when we did the B episode. It was 2 hours long, and we ran through a bunch of extra stuff. And while I could show you everything, I think it's better to kind of like space it out so we have more content. Yeah. And also so that it's more fun and challenging for listeners to try and keep up.
Yeah, so we'll try to do some string
Not
skipping.
that I'm good or anything. I expect to see videos of people in the group like, yeah, I'm better at this than you are, and I totally know you are. That's fine.
That's great. Yeah, so I was working on string skipping today, so we'll do that next time.
String skipping? What do you skip strings for? You don't need to skip strings. What are you talking about? Not a single string skipped.
That's true. That's true. I'm just trying to talk about the breaking out of the box thing for the people that use the box. The pentatonic.
Oh, sure. It's good stuff, man. Just learn all your box patterns and then forget about them because you don't need them anymore. Or just learn to use your ears and think intervals, which is apparently what a lot of really great guitar players do. Yeah. They don't necessarily know the scales; they know the intervals.
Right.
So,
and if you think about it, you only have to memorize a few. There's only 7. And
there's 12 intervals.
Well, there's 12 intervals, but there's only when I think diatonically, I think there's only 7.
Yeah,
there's 12 intervals. Yeah.
So in the diatonic, because most Western music you're going to run into is going to have 12 intervals in it.
Right.
Actually, I should, since we talked about the weirdness of the B and G string, there is one thing I can share. Yeah. So if you've never experimented with whole tone, the B and the G string is the perfect place to approach this. Yeah. So normally, it would be, there's a lot more lateral motion, to play like a 4-note sequence in a kind of melodic, what do they call it, a whole tone, in a whole tone way. But if you do it on the B and the G, it's a very atonal thing to do, but I use it a lot, actually, and in certain situations I found myself in recently, it's been really useful to know that and the half diminished scale. So that's something we can talk about later too. But so there's a lot of sneak preview stuff. We're going to show you some more stuff later, for sure. So Jim, we're at 52 minutes. I'm taking my guitar off. If you got something you want to show, go for it.
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm going to do the string skipping thing next week. I'm guys. There's literally a piece of wood right here, and unfortunately, I've got this thing tethering me. I think that's the issue. So I'm gonna have.
I've been debating on putting a second microphone behind. I've been debating about putting a second microphone behind me and a stool to sit on. Look at my cat. She's in a cone.
Did she just put her head in a cone?
She's in a cone. No, she's in a cone because she's been really nervous and she's been
and scratching herself,
licking herself really bad. That. Like cleaning off the fur and borderline giving herself infections and stuff. So we put her in a cone, and she does not like it. She's miserable.
Poor
she's
thing.
Well, she's okay, but she's like the cone's heavy, and you can tell she like rested on the floor. And then when she walks around, she just kind of her head goes from side to side because it's like I don't know where the cone is taking me. When we first put it on her, it was compressing her whiskers too much though, and she was like totally disoriented and started having like panic attack, and it was. Yeah. Don't rip. I hear about people cutting off their cat's whiskers. You people are awful human beings. Don't do that.
That's terrible. That's like cutting off a tongue. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's how they find their way around.
It is. It's really messed up, Jim.
Yeah, it is.
You're playing your SG, right?
Yeah.
Tell the audience about it. What year is it?
So this is a new one. This is a 2019. When Gibson first went to the new, we're only making standards and we're only making 61s type thing. So this is a standard. It's got the the deeper neck heel, which I like. The body joins up here. What is that? The 18th fret.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a nice stable tone. It's got the 490, what is it, the 498s in it.
Okay.
This one, the neck pickup is barn burner. A couple of friends
really
of mine,
hot.
yeah, a couple of friends of mine have played it, and they said, Jim, that neck pickup, which is, I mean, if you look, this thing is like right down flat, and it's still a barn burner. I mean, it's a smoking.
I see. That's the thing. I don't want a hot neck pickup.
Yeah, I do.
I want
like
my
it.
neck pickup to be quiet.
I can always back it off. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, well, you get the four controls. So I guess on the Gibson's not as big an issue.
And that's the other thing about the guitar is that they did. You know how they said, "Oh well, we've got it where the controls actually matter all the way through." So you can hear, like, if I go,
Yeah, it's because they put a logarithmic pot in it.
yeah, versus
taper.
the old, what is it, non-tapered or whatever, linear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's there. I like that. But it's got a weaker bridge pickup, which is interesting. Which is really.
I wonder if it's a mistake, Jim.
It might be,
Because usually your neck pickup is hot and your bridge pickup is weak.
I have,
Or vice versa. I mean.
Yeah, they got the R and the T backwards. Always a possibility. But what I like about that is actually it makes for that, that Angus Young thing that I was playing. I was playing Angus Young last night, and of course, that thing.
Yeah.
But I was showing my son the what is it? Let There Be Rock, which I want to play around with a little bit, and I got to play that last night while he just did the rhythm for me, so
Right.
it was fun. I'm kind of looking forward to, jamming with him, having my kid playing with me. We did Comfortably Numb last night. That was fun. Did the outro.
Yeah, dude. Like that's my goal. I want at least one of my kids to be into music, so I can just have like an in-house band.
Yeah.
It's not happened yet. I don't know how exactly I make this happen, but my daughter's pretty into music. She's playing violin. She's got an electric guitar. She's been picking it up and playing it more. She's got the keyboard actually that's next to me, belongs to her. I just hooked it up in here so she'd have a place to play it. So yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to sit down with my kids and play, and teach them and do that whole thing. I actually don't want to teach them as much as just show them my knowledge. I think that kids like who are learning an instrument definitely respond better to a teacher.
Yeah.
Because the teacher has a different authority level. They're too friendly with parents to take it seriously when somebody says practice or I'll kill you.
Yep. I just don't. I practice when I want to. So, and I always did, even as a kid. I would
Jim's
practice.
like, I do what I want.
I do what I want, and I want to do it. By the way, I have a new pop. I'm sitting here looking at my shipping information right here.
Mm-hmm.
I have a new pop arriving. I can't wait to show it to everybody.
Are you kidding me?
But let's just say Blue Oyster Cult has something to do with this new pop.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I have the Rush pops and I have the Metallica pops, and I have a Weird Al pop. This one, I'll play the when I get it. When we open the episode that week, I'll play the intro for the song, and everybody's gonna go, "Oh, I know what pop that is." Everybody's gonna know it right away, and I'll just give the hint that it's Blue Oyster Cult song.
I absolutely love the fact that we're video podcasting now, because people can see the expression on my face when you say stuff like this to me. And I'm just like, how much money do you have that you can waste money on these sorts of things?
I don't pay. I probably pay less for my mortgage than you do, because you got a condo, right?
Well, yeah, Jim, but I only pay $50,000 for my place.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's not bad.
No,
Really, $50,000 for it?
I paid less than that, actually.
Wow.
That's what they wanted me to pay, and then I got rent abatement on top of that and other things. So
Oh, nice. Oh, you might
dude,
not pay.
I've been here like 4 or 5 years. I only owe like $33,000 or something.
Wow. Now, what's
Yeah,
the sale price for that place?
um, quite a bit more. I have over $50,000 in equity. Oh,
That's
way
good.
over $50,000 in equity. Now that I think about it,
Oh.
like way over, because we got a deal on this place. That's basically what it was. They didn't want to own it anymore, and they just wanted their money back out of it. And they'd been renting to us, and we were good renters, so they just said, "We'll give it to you over what we paid for it," pretty much.
Oh, and that's how you got the rent abatement. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, nice. So you had a
They took
little
care of
money
us.
in it right when you
Yep.
started. That's
Well, we
cool.
didn't. So that wasn't a part of our lease or anything. They did that to be nice to us.
My house, I lived in a log cabin up the street. A lot of people might remember some of the videos I've done or some of the pictures from a log cabin. And when we started the show, I was living in that log cabin, and I moved here, and I was lucky enough to get it because the price was the price was right. Let's just say that I paid almost half of the value of most houses in this area. So when I jumped in, I jumped on it. Now does that mean that my house would go for double? Probably not, but I,
No, I mean,
I've
who
got
knows at
instant
the end of the day?
equity.
Who knows at the end of COVID?
Yeah,
Um,
but I mean, a mortgage of $800 a month, I can't complain.
yeah, my mortgage is far less than that.
Yeah, but I couldn't probably get close to you at that point. But
Yeah.
hopefully, with this new thing that's coming down, everybody wish me luck, please. I'll be able to double pay my mortgage and pay my house off in a few years. So
Sounds good.
that's,
All right.
that's what I'm hoping.
With our mortgage advice, I've been David,
Yeah, I've been Jim
and tonight we've been the Practical Video Podcast
with weather reports
guitarists
and
with weather reports and all sorts of other fun.
political reviews.
Yeah, the Practical Political Guitarists. I don't know.
Eh,
I don't even know at this point.